Hi, everybody. Lovely to see the familiar faces today. Welcome to the panel that we are going to discuss unscripted formats. We have the king of unscripted with us, Mazen Laham. Thank you so much for joining us today. Who of us here have binge watched Dubai Bling, Master Chef? What else? Chopped, Astronauts. Is there something you didn't do? Did anybody here with a show of hands watch
Unstoppable for
Shark Tank?
Tank.
Shark Tank. Yes.
Alhamdulillah.
Taib. Today we're going to find out all the information. We have lots of juicy questions for you. We have about, was it 20 or 30 minutes? 20 minutes? Okay, so we will have time at the end for questions. Mazen, first of all, walk us through how a global hit like Shark Tank, like Master Chef, land in regional markets. Who approaches who? Do you approach them? Do they approach you? How does this come about?
Actually, when it comes to international formats, it comes either both ways. It's either the channel takes the rights for the region and chooses the local producer to do it, or the local producer can have the rights and pitch it to local platforms. So it happens both
In
ways.
your case, how was the first one? Like your first project? How did it come about?
First project.
The first unscripted format for you. Do you remember?
You're taking me way back because I started my experience in international formats before having the company. I used to work with LBCI in Lebanon. So the first international format I worked on was, I think, Deal or No Deal. It was an Endemol show. And also I worked on Gladiators, American Gladiators, 2008. So
And that was with the channel that you were
that
with.
was with the channel. We were doing it in-house. In the company, I think the MasterChef was the first global show which we've worked on. And it wasn't us, it was back then SBC had the format and we were asked to execute it.
To execute.
Yeah.
Okay. It seems how many years ago was that when you first ever you said it's so many years
11
ago.
years ago.
11 years ago.
11 years ago.
And how from your point of view, because you've done so many of them and it's so different, they're so different, like Astronauts is completely different than a cooking show, is completely different than Dubai Bling, and I know that Dubai Bling is
Dubai Bling is not the format, it's our original.
It's your original,
So
yes.
Because we do both. We work, we get formats from international distributors, which we adapt for the Arabic region, and we create our own originals, which we create in-house, and we also try to pitch.
And now let's focus on that. We're going to come to that part in a second. But when it's an international show, when it's a big international format, how do you localize a format while keeping, the soul of the format intact without changing too much? I know there's international standards of how much you can change, but then there are other factors that would affect that, whether
For
it's
sure.
budget or the audience or the TV channel.
Like whenever we like a show, we first think if it's doable in our region from a cultural perspective, religious perspective, from all these aspects. Some shows that are very successful internationally, we wouldn't even think to get to the region because we can't do here. We know our limitations, cultural limitations, whether like in the Arab region and vice versa. So whenever there's a successful show that has some track record and we believe it will work here, there's always a risk. We take the risk of getting it and try to pitch it. And we do here, we call it, we do our own adaptation to work in the region. If there's something in the structure that doesn't work, we try to make it work. Or if there's something culturally specific segment that doesn't work, we can talk with the format owners to change. Because when you have a format, it comes with a Bible that you have to follow. So you cannot change major things in the format. So this is our role, how to adapt it, and this is the proposal which we pitch, which is who's going to host it, how it's going to do the casting, where we're going to film it, the budget, and all these aspects to make it appealing for the Arabic viewer, because what works for US doesn't work for UAE. Even in the region, what works for sometimes for Saudi doesn't work for Lebanon. So it depends who we are pitching for. Sometimes if we're doing the pitch for a TV channel, it's a completely different pitch when we're even for the same show. If we're pitching it for a platform, it's a completely different mindset. So
how much of that you just mentioned that there is normally you have to adapt a lot of things within the format for it to work in the Middle East. How much is too much? Like, how much is it? Does it to the point? Does it become an inspiration? Because I've spoken to producers that kind of think it's okay to get inspired by international formats, but they don't go to
as long as you don't like what protects a format is the details, not the genre. Like a cooking show is not a protection. It's the structure of the show, and you can find similarities like Master Chef and Top Chef. They're quite similar, but you need to look for the differences. This make them two different formats. But having a competition reality show doesn't protect what you have. So the more, even if you want to create your own format, you have to create something original, and it all goes within the structure and the details of this show that makes it protected. Because there's a huge population around the planet. Everybody thinks he's the genius and he got the idea, but there will be another geniuses who made the same idea.
And would they normally help you with making international?
For me, the timing is very important. Mm-hmm. When did you get this idea and when did you write it? And this is, by the way, this is how you protect your show. You know that shows are protected by time, not by originality. When did you come with the idea and when did you register it? The date. But being inspired, everybody, without noticing, gets inspired by things he will see in real life or on TV.
Dubai Bling is your own creation. It's
Yes.
your own idea.
Yes.
Are you protecting it?
It is already protected. And it's, for me, Dubai Bling, it's... I can't call it a format because it can't be, in my opinion, a lot secured, because its idea is very simple. It's around a circle of friends, which is 8 people living in Dubai, and they have stories, and we live their stories, and they cross over. So if tomorrow I do a show with another 8 cast members and I call it XYZ, it's not a breach. It's not Shark Tank, which is very formatted, where the concept is clear. You have 5 investors, and there is a certain setup, a tunnel where an entrepreneur goes, the door opens, and then he gives a pitch, and then there is a negotiation, then there is a deal or no deal. It's very, the format is very structured, very straight to the point. So if you turn around it, you can't turn around it. You know what I mean? So Dubai Bling it's more
social.
It's a docu-soap. It's not a format as it's not a format. I don't consider it a format. It can't be a format.
Okay.
It's not a competition reality show where it's very structured, very clear. There's a process like Master Chef. There's stage 1, stage 2, stage 3. It's not the case. Change the cast, you have a different show.
Well, it could be Singapore Bling, right? Or any rich country Bling.
Yeah, there's a surprise where we're doing something not for the region that's going to be announced soon.
Okay.
Similar.
There you go. There's a format, right?
It's not a format. It's, as I told you, you change the cast, you change the brand name, then it's a new show.
And what makes a format, if there is something that would similar, traded in international markets, that's an idea. Now, this happened in the scripted space with Cedar's Art. They've managed to create a format picked up by a Turkish producer, and now it's trading internationally as an idea, as a format. In the unscripted space, where do you think the opportunity lies for?
Actually, the format business, it requires trust from our local broadcasters, because when you get a format like Shark Tank or any other successful show, you get a show with a track record. You know, it did well, globally, you have the numbers, it has a track record, it's already an established brand, so the risk is less on the channel. And I fully understand to get advertising. If you go to sell Shark Tank, it's easier than selling, for example, a show called Ruwad Al-A'mal. I know, it's less risk on the channel. But as well, it comes with limitations that you cannot have this format forever. You don't own the IP. It goes on with the broadcaster for a certain period of time, and then they don't have it anymore.
It's not an asset.
So I think the originals need the trust and needs the broadcaster to take more risks in believing in the local talents to create formats that can travel globally. Because nobody will buy a paper format. You have to have a format produced in order to be able to distribute it globally. Like you need to have something produced already, not a paper format.
I think the previous panel, there was a lot of talk about the gatekeepers, and I think that's what you're referring to here. Unless somebody approves of your idea and takes the risk with you,
exactly.
It's not going to happen. Well, you've been in that space. You've obviously created all the big shows, so you know the formula. Are you planning on having or building a format, or do you think that we prefer to create our own, and we're capable. I think we proved that we're capable to produce with the same production values as international players, but I still don't feel until this moment. I'm talking about local channels. I don't think there's an appetite for originals because mainly I believe they don't want to take the risk of producing and spending money on a show which is created locally. They prefer to have a format that's already, it's less risk for them. Okay.
This is what at least I believe. Meanwhile, when you work with a platform, international platform, the dynamics is different. You can't get a format and put it on Netflix because you need to take the global rights, and global rights you cannot get, so they will ask you to produce originals. So it's a different mindset.
And then with that, when you're having the conversations with the international platforms, if there was one Arabic original unscripted format that would come out of the Middle East, what would it be?
What do you mean?
What would be the idea? Like, would it be more showing the lifestyle? Would it be a cooking show? What genre or what type of?
As I told you, when you need to pitch for a platform, you need to think with a different mindset. Like for example, you cannot pitch standalone episodes. This will not work. Like you cannot put Shark Tank on Netflix. It will not work. You have to do something that's serialized, because the viewer is watching and he can leave. So you need to make sure this viewer is always watching, and you need to do very strong cliffhangers between the episodes to make the viewer watch and binge watch the show. It's a different mindset. So whatever could be serialized will work on a platform, any platform. Standalone episodes will not work.
No, I mean internationally. Internationally, what are they looking for from this part of the world in your space? Specifically,
there is nothing specific, as long as it could be a cooking but serialized. It's whatever they don't give you what they want. You have to pitch them.
Okay.
But you need to know how they think.
So the opportunity lies in creating your own.
Exactly.
But that's a long process.
Yeah,
right?
Dubai Bling was a good example of Arabic content that traveled. It went global, top 10, 72 countries. Until now, we're performing great. Season 3 did even better than Season 2 and Season 1.
It just keeps
so I think
better.
it is a good example of. I know some people don't like them. They don't. It's not their taste. It's considered light content, where when you go home, you want to switch off your head. You go and watch such content. It succeeded. It has all the recipes of success, and it was a good example of content that travels. And there is one thing also, which I believe, if you want to make a show that could travel, you should always think to succeed in your area.
I was going to ask you about this. Is the next question. What do you think of the argument that making content for local consumption, it's completely different than making global content for global consumption?
Not true. You have to succeed you have to succeed where you are in your region, and if it travels, it's something good. But you can't do something to target global.
How did
Nobody can
Dubai
target global.
Bling perform regionally versus internationally?
If it didn't perform well regionally, I believe it would have been stopped. You have to do good in your region, and then travelability, it comes as an added thing. Like, for example, Money Heist, it's a Spanish content targeting the Spanish market, and it traveled. We all saw it.
That one
But the
failed first regionally, right? Or
no, lots
until
of
it went
them.
on.
Yeah, it's Squid Game. It's a Korean content targeting the Korean market, and it traveled. Like, you can't target. I can't say I want to do a show that I'm targeting the whole planet. No, you need to work for your region. Forget about television. If you have McDonald's was famous in the US and it traveled as a global franchise, it's the same concept.
Okay.
You have to be successful in your region, and this is where your content will travel. At least this is what I believe.
This is your experience. Okay, so it has to, whatever comes later on, it has to work first in the Middle East before it's able to be
in your area, whatever, whether it's the Middle East or any other.
We're going to talk about the fun side, the commercial side. From a business point of view, what does a typical format deal look like? Is it typically? I know in your case, it's a lot of commissioning, right? So normally the platforms own the rights. There is no such thing as co-productions or revenue share or any of that. Correct? Do you see that model changing so that the producers can actually have an asset that they can keep for, whether it's an IP or like creating an asset that for their own company that's not owned by a platform?
If you buy a format, then it's not your asset. That's unless there are some exceptions.
It's tricky in the unscripted space, but how do you see that evolving from a business standpoint? What do producers need to do in that unscripted reality space?
If you were talking about formats which we buy from international distributors, it depends on who's the distributor. Each distributor and each format even has its own. If you're buying The Voice, it's a huge successful show. The price is different. The requests are different. If you're buying a show that's medium, the deal is different. So there's no. There's no standard about negotiations. It's about you and how you negotiate and how big is the distributor you're negotiating with. When you're talking about local formats that are created here for local channels, there are very few. We've done some, but very few.
Mm-hmm. And how do you convince investors or broadcasters or platform to take the risk and venture with you on unscripted formats? Do you have, usually in these things, I would imagine you would have a brand that's willing to kind of take on some of the costs, so it's kind of brand integration, especially maybe with cooking shows, or like if it's real estate, or does that work, or how does it work when you're pitching these original ideas?
It depends also to which broadcaster we're pitching for, but whenever we get a format, we have to also get something that's commercially makes sense for the, like, if they want to sell it and go to the market and sell it, it makes sense where you can easily get sponsors for. Usually we don't go into the advertising business. We just pitch the concept.
Is it unfavorable? Like if you came in with your own
advertiser? It depends with who.
Okay.
It depends with which broadcaster. Some they have exclusivity with media reps, which they don't allow this to happen.
Would it make it easier to pitch though?
If you come with a sponsor, if they will allow it, it will become easier to take the show. Yeah, some platforms and broadcasters, they're allowing this these days.
Mm-hmm. And with platforms like Netflix, and there is more now in international. That's not regional money; it's international money. Entering the local market, has the financing model of unscripted evolved like it has with scripted series, or is it still the same? We'll just commission the thing. And do you see any indication of changes?
Not Not much.
with
As long as
international-
there is no competition in the region, nothing will change. I don't feel there is competition.
There's no competition.
There's no players. Very few.
If,
Not
talk more
between
about
us as company. On the contrary, we all fight for two or three platforms or channels, or 5 maybe.
for the unscripted.
I'm talking about the competition from broadcaster platform. There's not much.
Where's the most of the risk? Where does the risk lie with unscripted formats? Where is
You mean risk on us or on the that's it's known
because it's a small market.
No, non-scripted doesn't have a shelf life. Which
There's no distribution window.
no, like very few, maybe documentaries, docuseries. Very few are like you cannot, for example, The Voice or Idol distribute it after it's being aired. Like there's no shelf life. This is the risk in non-scripted.
I do have a lot more questions, but I realized that it's
Done?
It's already
All right.
20 minutes. I thought it was 30, but we do have a few minutes for questions. Correct? You have one. Oh, the next one is on. Okay, I'm sorry, we don't have any more time for questions. Thank you so much,
Thank
Mazen.
you.
But I will give you 30 seconds to say the last few things that we did not manage to get to.
No, thank you
It's good.
for coming.
Okay, thank you so much for being a wonderful audience. Have a good day.